When you think of Texas, you probably, like me, think of this. Oil! Cowboys. Big trucks.
Bigger steaks.
And sure, Texas pumps more oil than Iraq. Its economy is bigger than Russia's.
Убирайся из мачка России!
Honestly, it behaves less like a state and more like a country, which makes sense. It used to be one, its own president, its own navy. It had its own embassies, an actual Texan diplomat in Paris. And London, where Texas didn't pay their rent. More on that later. So how does an empty coastline become a country? And how does a country end up a state?
Using AI trained on the historical records, paintings and photographs, we're rebuilding all of it as it might have looked.
And it starts 1,000 years ago with a word that means friends.
People have lived in Texas for 15,000 years. Mammoth hunters, before the pyramids, before farming, before almost anything. Some of the oldest human tools in North America came out of the ground in central Texas. But for most of those 15,000 years, we don't know what they called this place, or themselves. The first word we can still hear arrives with a city. The year is 1050, and East Texas has a city. More than 100 houses stand on the prairie above the Neches River. Domes of woven grass, 25 feet across and 2 stories tall. Cornfields run to the tree line. Beans climb the corn stalks. Above it all, a temple sits on a mound of earth the villagers raised by hand, basket by basket. These are the Caddo, farmers, builders and traders, and the trade is the point. Look at what arrives here. Copper from the Great Lakes, shells from Florida, turquoise from New Mexico, galena from the Ozarks. The paths their traders walk will still be in use 600 years later, when the Spanish rename them the Royal Road. The Caddo have a word for the peoples they trade with, their allies. They use it as a greeting, Taysha, friend. For 5 centuries, this world runs on its own clock. No Europe, no Spain, nothing but seasons. Then, in November 1528, the sea delivers something new. 2 makeshift rafts, wrecked in the surf near what is now Galveston. 90 starving men. The leftovers of a Spanish expedition that had set out to conquer Florida and lost everything. Their commander, Cabeza de Vaca, names the island where they wash up Malhado, misfortune. The local Karankawa find the strangers on the beach. They hand them arrows, a sign of friendship, and light fires along the path to keep them from freezing. Even so, the winter takes all but 15. The survivors walk for 8 years across the whole of Texas and beyond, hundreds of miles, mostly enslaved, occasionally worshipped as healers. In 1536, 4 men reach Spanish Mexico. 3 Spaniards and Estevanico, an enslaved man born in Morocco, the first African in Texas. Cabeza de Vaca writes it all down, the first book about Texas ever written. But rumors travel faster than books. Somewhere in the retelling, Texas grows cities of gold. They send Estevanico north to find them. He never returns. They send Coronado after him with hundreds of men. He finds grass. Then the book prints. No gold, no cities of silver, 23 nations, rivers and grass. So Spain does the math and forgets Texas exists. For 150 years, what finally reminds them isn't gold. It's France. (1685). a French ship drops anchor on the Texas coast. It is in the wrong place. René Robert Cavalier, Sieur de La Salle, is looking for the mouth of the Mississippi. He has missed it by 400 miles. Same mistake, different flag. La Salle builds anyway. 6 buildings on a creek bank near present-day Victoria, roofed with buffalo hide. 200 people. He never gives the place a name. Texas will call it Fort St. Louis anyway. 8 cannon at the corners, no cannonballs. But the ships don't stay. One taken by the Spanish, one aground. One home to France. La Salle goes looking for the Mississippi on foot, 3 times overland for months at a stretch. While he is away, the last ship, the Belle, wrecks in the bay. The colony is marooned. On the 3rd journey in 1687, his own men shoot him. By Christmas the following year, the Karankawa have killed nearly everyone left. 5 children survive. Meanwhile, Spain hears there are Frenchmen in Texas and panics. Between 1686 and 1689, it sends 11 expeditions, 5 by sea, 6 by land. Alonso de Leon finds it in April 1689. It has been dead for months. 4 years of searching for a ruin, but the fright works. Spain finally does what 150 years of grass could not make it do. It moves in. Missions go up in East Texas. And on the 1st of May, 1718, a Franciscan plants one on a river in the middle of nowhere and names it San Antonio de Valero. 4 days later, soldiers build a fort across the water. Nobody calls it the Alamo yet. On paper, Spain now owns Texas. In practice, look at the capital. From 1729, the capital of Texas is a stockade called Los Adayes. It stands in what is now Louisiana. It sits 15 miles from a French fort, and it survives by trading illegally with it. An inspector arrives in 1767 and finds 2 working guns in the armory. The soldiers have been selling their horses for French wine. That's the capital, in another country, out of guns. And it is about to meet the people who actually run the place. The horse had been extinct in America for 10,000 years. Spain brought it back. In 1680, the Pueblo drove the Spanish out of New Mexico, and the herds got loose. Within 2 generations, the Comanche rule the southern plains, mounted on an animal that was born here and had to be returned. In 1758, 2,000 Comanche and their allies burn a Spanish mission near present-day Menard to the ground. By 1781, Spain has stopped pretending. To keep the peace, it begins handing out annual gifts at San Antonio, an empire paying rent. Spain holds Texas for 136 years. By 1800, San Antonio has 2,000 people. By 1821, there are fewer Spanish-speaking Texans than there were 20 years earlier. Then Spain loses Mexico, and the new owner inherits a province that is enormous, empty, and dangerous, and makes one decision to fix all 3. It invites Americans in. Mexico is free and Texas is a problem. The province is enormous, nearly empty, and the Comanche still own most of it. Spain's answer had been to keep foreigners out. Mexico tries the opposite. The idea comes from a bankrupt lead miner named Moses Austin. Bring 300 families north, settle the land, turn it Mexican. Spain approves it in January 1821, one of the last things Spanish Texas ever does. Then Moses Austin dies. The deal passes to his son, Stephen. just 27, cautious, about to become a lawyer, now suddenly running a colony in a country that didn't exist last year. He rides to Mexico City and gets the contract renewed by the new government. The deal makes Austin more than a land agent. Inside his grant, a territory the size of a small country, he picks the settlers, hands out the land, writes the rules, and runs the courts. He even founds a capital, San Felipe de Austin, an American colony inside Mexico run by one man. The terms are simple: cheap land, dirt cheap. In return, become a Mexican citizen, become Catholic, and obey Mexican law. The colonists agree. Most of them mean it. The land does the rest. In the United States, a farm costs more than $1 an acre. Here, it costs a few cents. Word spreads through the debt-ridden American South, and families start walking out on everything they owe. They scratch 3 letters on the door and leave. GTT. Gone to Texas. Austin's 300 families become a flood. By 1830, there are 20,000 Anglo-Americans in Texas and 4,000 Tejanos. In 9 years, the newcomers outnumber the locals 5-1. And they have brought something Mexico is trying to end. Mexico abolishes slavery in 1829. The Texas colonists, whose cotton economy runs on it, secure an exemption and keep going. Mexico is watching this arithmetic with alarm. A province filling with foreigners who share a language, a border, and a country with a neighbor that has twice tried to buy Texas outright. So in 1830, Mexico slams the door. No more American immigration. Soldiers to enforce it. Tariffs. It doesn't work. The Americans keep coming, now illegally, squatting on the land. By 1835, there are 30,000 of them. For a while, everyone muddles along. Then the man in Mexico City changes the rules. Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna took power as a Federalist, a defender of the 1824 Constitution that let Texas mostly govern itself. Then he tore it up, dissolved the state legislatures, centralized everything on himself. Across Mexico, states revolt. In Zacatecas, Santa Anna crushes the rising and lets his army sack the city. In Texas, it starts with a cannon. The town of Gonzales has a small one for defense against the Comanche. Mexican soldiers come to take it back. The Texans hang out a flag, daring them to try. Come and take it. The soldiers leave empty-handed. It is October 1835. The revolt is on. Anglo colonists and Tejano federalists together fighting for the constitution Santa Anna threw away. By December, the rebels have taken San Antonio itself and thrown the army out of Texas entirely. Santa Anna does not take it seriously. A frontier tantrum put down the way Zacatecas was put down. He marches north himself at the head of an army to make an example of them. Towards San Antonio. Toward an old mission that nobody calls the Alamo yet. The people of San Antonio wake to church bells ringing the alarm. Santa Anna is not coming in the spring. He is here. 150 men fall back into the old mission across the river. Farmers, lawyers, adventurers, Tejano volunteers. Among them, the most famous man in America's backwoods, David Crockett, 3-term congressman, living legend, who lost re-election in Tennessee and told his voters they could go to hell. He was going to Texas. Their commander is 26 years old, William Barrett Travis. 4 years ago, the Mexicans locked him in a brick kiln at Anahuac. Santa Anna raises a blood-red flag from the church tower in town. No quarter. Now, he answers Santa Anna's demand for surrender with a cannon shot. The siege lasts 13 days. Travis writes his way through it. Letter after letter rides out through the Mexican lines, begging for help. One of them carried by Juan Seguin, the Tejano captain, through the enemy in the dark. The most famous letter is addressed to the people of Texas and all Americans in the world. Victory or death. Help doesn't come. 32 men from Gonzales, the cannon town, slip through the lines to join them. Nobody else. While the cannon fire 4 days' ride to the east, 59 men sit in an unfinished building at a place called Washington on the Brazos and sign a declaration. March 2nd, 1836. Texas declares itself a country. The men in the Alamo never find out. Before dawn on March 6th, the assault comes from 4 sides. It is over in 90 minutes. What we know is this: at least 189 defenders died. The true number may be higher. A handful of survivors, women, children, and an enslaved man named Joe, who had stood beside Travis, were spared and released to carry the story east. That was the point. Santa Anna wanted Texas to hear it. Texas heard it. 3 weeks later, it got worse. At Goliad, the old fort down the road, at least 342 Texan prisoners who had surrendered in open battle were marched out on Palm Sunday morning and shot. More men died at Goliad than at the Alamo. Almost nobody remembers it. Now the whole rebellion is running east, the army, the government, and every family in its path, in mud and freezing rain. They call it the Runaway Scrape. Santa Anna chases them, which is exactly the problem. He splits his army to chase them faster and rides ahead with the fastest column himself. On April 21st, on a field by the San Jacinto River, Sam Houston's army, 900 angry men, catches that column asleep in the afternoon. The battle lasts 18 minutes. The killing goes on longer. The Texans shout as they come on, "Remember the Alamo! Remember Goliad!" Santa Anna is found the next day, hiding in the grass, dressed in a private's uniform. The President of Mexico, prisoner of an army of farmers. To save his life, he signs Texas away. And just like that, the tantrum on the frontier is a country. Which is a problem, because nobody, including Texas, knows how to run one. The Republic of Texas is born, with an army it can't pay, a currency it hasn't printed, and a neighbor that doesn't accept it exists. Mexico tears up the treaty the moment Santa Anna is free. It was signed by a prisoner, and legally, they have a point. In its first year, the country goes through 5 capitals. It is a nation run out of saddlebags, but it builds the furniture anyway. A president, a Congress, a navy, 4 schooners to start. Money, beautiful red banknotes that collapse until a Texas dollar is worth pennies. And embassies, a legation in Paris, another in London, 2 rented rooms above a wine shop, 3 doors from the king's palace. The wine merchant is still there, and the rent went unpaid for 140 years, until 1986, when a delegation of Texans in buckskins walked into the shop and settled the bill. Then the Republic elects a dreamer. President Lamar decides a nation this size needs a capital built from nothing. In the middle of the frontier, on the edge of Comanche country, they pick a hamlet on the Colorado River, rename it Austin, and haul the entire government there in 40 wagons. Population, a few hundred souls. But Lamar's dream has a price, and other people pay it. The Republic tears up the treaty Houston signed with the Cherokee, the one guaranteeing their land. Then Lamar sends the army to drive them out. Their chief, Bowles, 83 years old, rides into the last battle, carrying the sword Houston had given him as a friend. He dies on that field. The sword still exists, and Lamar declares, in his own words, a war of extermination against the Comanche. The frontier burns in both directions. The Republic doesn't just inherit Texas, it clears it. Sam Houston, president again after Lamar, calls Austin the most unfortunate site on earth for a seat of government. He wants the capital gone. In 1842, he gets his excuse. A Mexican army rides in and takes San Antonio. Austin, 80 miles away, empties in panic. Houston orders the National Archives move to safety. Austin's citizens read that as theft. They form a committee and promise to shoot. So Houston's rangers come at dawn, quietly, and load the papers into wagons. They are nearly away when an innkeeper named Angelina Eberly runs to the town cannon, swings it around, and fires into the government land office. The town chases its own government's wagons 18 miles, catches them at gunpoint, and hauls the nation's paperwork home in triumph. Nobody dies. Austin keeps the archives. That is why Austin is the capital of Texas today. Because of an innkeeper with a cannon. But a country cannot live on comedy. The debts keep growing. The money is worth less every year. And the war Lamar started has no end in it. Then, in 1845, after 10 years of refusing, Mexico blinks. It offers Texas the thing it fought for: recognition, peace, independence in writing. Texas looks at the offer its people bled for. But look at who Texans are. They came from America. They trade with America. Half of them still call it home. And independence means facing the debts, the Comanche and Mexico, alone, forever, and chooses America instead. The Congress votes for annexation, censures its own president for even presenting the alternative, and burns him in effigy for good measure. On February 19, 1846, at the ceremony in Austin, that president, Anson Jones, says it plainly: the Republic of Texas is no more. Then he lowers the flag himself, with his own hands. Texas joins the United States. It takes 15 years to start shooting at it. Texas joins the United States in 1846. Within weeks, the shooting starts, just not the war you're thinking of. The border Texas always claimed, the Rio Grande, is the border Mexico never accepted. Now it's America's problem. American troops march to the river, Mexico fires on them, and the United States gets the war with Mexico it half wanted anyway. 2 years later, Mexico signs away not just Texas, but California, Arizona, New Mexico, half its country. The map of the American West is drawn in that war. Texas started it. Then, 15 years after that, Texas does the thing it does best. It leaves. 1861. The southern states secede to protect slavery, and Texas votes to go with them. But one man stands in the way, the governor, Sam Houston. The man who won Texas its independence and brought it into the Union will not take it out. He calls a civil war coming and says the South will lose. He's right. He refuses to swear loyalty to the Confederacy, and for that, they remove him from his own office. The old man who beat Santa Anna is carried out of Texas history by the country he built. Texas spends the war far from the front, feeding cotton and cattle and men into the Confederacy. And when the war ends in the spring of 1865, and every slave in the defeated South is legally free, Texas doesn't tell anyone. For 2 more months, 250,000 people are held in bondage in Texas after slavery has legally ended, because the news simply hasn't been enforced this far west, or because nobody with power wanted it to be. Then, on June 19, 1865, a Union general named Gordon Granger lands at Galveston with 2,000 soldiers and reads an order aloud. All slaves are free. The last 250,000 learn it last. They named the day for the date, Juneteenth, and a century and a half later, it becomes a national holiday, born in Texas. After the war, Texas gets rich on two things: cattle, millions of longhorns driven north up the trails to the railheads, a whole mythology of cowboys and cattle towns built in barely 20 years and ended almost as fast by a single cheap invention: barbed wire. The open range closes. You can fence Texas now. And cotton, most of which leaves through one city: Galveston. By the 1890s, Galveston is the richest city in Texas and one of the richest per person in America. They call the Strand the Wall Street of the South. 60% of the state's cotton ships through its port. It has Texas's first electric lights, first telephones, opera houses, mansions, direct steamers to Europe. Galveston has everything. It has one problem. It sits on a sandbar in the Gulf of Mexico, and its highest point is 8 feet above the sea. Remember that. September 8th, 1900, a Saturday. Galveston knows a storm is coming. Storms always come. The city has weathered them for 50 years. There is no seawall. Why would there be? The highest ground in the city is 8 feet above the sea. Nobody in Galveston knows they're about to live through the deadliest natural disaster in American history. Still, a century and a quarter later, by more than double. It comes ashore that night as a Category 4 hurricane and pushes a wall of water 15 feet high across an island 9 feet tall. The sea simply closes over the city. The debris is the worst of it. Every house the water destroys becomes a battering ram for the next, a moving wall of broken timber grinding across the island, block by block, taking everything. At an orphanage by the beach, 10 nuns tie themselves to the children with clothesline so they won't be separated. They are found in the days after, still tied together. When the water goes down, somewhere between 6,000 and 12,000 people are dead in a single night. The richest city in Texas is gone. Galveston will rebuild. It will raise the entire city, jack thousands of buildings up on stilts, and pump sand underneath, foot by foot. And it will build the seawall it should have built before. But it will never be the richest city in Texas again. Because 4 months after the storm, and 70 miles up the coast, the ground opens. January 10th, 1901. Near Beaumont, at a low hill called Spindletop, a drilling crew hits something at 1,000 feet. Mud starts bubbling. Then the drill pipe comes shooting back out of the ground. Then, silence. And then, a column of black oil roars 150 feet into the air and does not stop. For 9 days it gushes, 100,000 barrels a day. More oil from one well than every other oil well on Earth combined. Texas in 1900 produced under 1 million barrels of oil in the whole year. Spindletop matches that in 9 days. The world runs on coal on January 9th. On January 10th, a new century starts to run on something else. Exxon, Texaco, Gulf. They all begin in the mud around this one hill. In one season, Texas buries a drowned city and strikes the thing that will define its next 100 years. Grief and a jackpot, 4 months apart, 70 miles apart. That's Texas. What Spindletop starts doesn't stop. Within a decade, oil is coming out of the ground all over Texas. Boomtowns appear overnight. Refineries line the coast. The state that fueled the 19th century with cotton fuels the 20th with oil and gets unimaginably rich doing it. When the world wars come, they run on Texas oil. When the automobile remakes the planet, it burns Texas oil. And the oil money buys things. In 1961, an oil company's old cattle pasture southeast of Houston is handed to the government. They build mission control on it, which is why, 8 years later, when a man steps onto the surface of the moon, the first word spoken from another world is broadcast directly to a Texas city.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The cotton money built a republic. The oil money reached the moon. And the state keeps reinventing what it runs on. Cotton became cattle. Cattle became oil. Now the companies pouring in for cheap land and no taxes aren't cattlemen. They're Tesla, SpaceX, Apple. The oil state is becoming a tech state, launching private rockets from the same coast a Spanish castaway once washed up on with nothing. And the people keep coming, the way they came for cheap land in 1821. Houston, Dallas, Austin, rising out of the same flat country the Caddo once farmed. Houston alone now speaks 145 languages. Today, if Texas were a country, it would have the 8th largest economy on Earth. Bigger than Canada. Bigger than Russia.
An empty coast nobody wanted. And now, look at it. One of the richest places on the planet. You'd never believe it, Sam.